Hi there, Suzanne from Suzanne Scarrow Live here. Do you trust it when you have moments of alignment? What even is alignment? Alignment is that space, that place in your life when you feel like everything's in the flow, when things are working out for you, when you're feeling really good and joyous and happy. But sometimes we get there deliberately. Sometimes we get there when we do something like being, out in nature or petting our animals or falling in love or hearing beautiful music that brings tears to your eyes or something like that. That's a feeling of being in alignment. And sometimes it can feel so overwhelming because it's new and it's different and you haven't been there quite so much. But the more you practice deliberately choosing to be there, the easier it will get and the more comfortable it will feel. And it will come sort of a tipping point where you know that that's where you want to be more. Because when you're in that place of alignment, that's when your life does flow. That's when things work out for you. When the next logical step that you've got to take towards your goals or your dreams just pops up right there in front of you. Maybe it's a check in the mail, or maybe you meet the person that you needed to contact, or maybe you just hear a word that inspires you into the action that you needed to take. Being in that flow is your natural state of being, but being human, we spend most of our time outside of it. We came, I think, intending to be in it more, but we have allowed the struggle of life to get in the way. And when we see people around us struggling, we think that that's as good as it gets, but it's not. As good as it gets is better and better and better and better until you really can be in that place of alignment just by choice most of the time. Not all of the time, certainly, because you're not meant to be there all of the time. You're meant to come out of that place and grow back in, deliberately choose to grow back into it. Just meaning that you're going to deliberately choose thoughts that bring feelings that you will be more and more in a joyful place. And then when you do that, you grow and expand as a human being. You're deliberately choosing to be in that good feeling place, no matter what's going on around you. You don't need the circumstances to change. In fact, if you wait for the circumstances to change to make it easier for you to get into that good feeling place, you might be waiting your whole life. If you can look at the things that are going on around you, and although they're not as you want them to be, and yet you still choose to feel as good as you can feel, that's when you're winning this game of life. That's when you can feel as good as you can feel no matter what's going on around you, just by deliberately choosing to do that. Okay? The most astounding example of this that I've ever seen is children on a rubbish pile, I think it was in India, who just had the biggest smiles on their face, and yet they were living, scrounging in the rubbish. And that was just such a stark contrast to what I understood happiness to represent. But they chose to be happy even in those circumstances. It's bizarre, isn't it? But that's what was happening. And for me, that was a real eye-opener. And now I can see that all of us can choose to be as happy as we can possibly be, no matter what the circumstances are around us. And my mantra about that, and you can certainly take it and use it as yours, is that nothing and nobody is worth you feeling bad about. Okay. You might use that one, or you might make up your own version of that, but nothing and nobody is worth you feeling bad about. Your job is to feel as good as you can feel. So go for it, and I'll talk to you again soon.